We are live, Peter. We are live. We're not going to get started quite yet, everyone. Oh, is it starting? Did a little loading. But we welcome all of the viewers who are currently watching. My name is Sam Skibbe, Commissioner of the SWBL. Alongside me today is
Peter Leicht, front office member.
Yes, and Peter, you know, we have game one in the background from the SWBL season 19, this past summer. And I know you can't see it, but if you haven't gone out to see that, folks, it is definitely, in my opinion and in Peter's opinion too, the best wiffle ball broadcast out there right now. It's the only wiffle ball broadcast that breaks down the entire game. So if you're interested in watching that, please go to our YouTube channel and check out game one from the SWBL season 19. And congratulations goes out to, again, the SWBL Twins. We will be getting a podcast going here to recap season 19. And I can't believe it, Peter. Season 20 is coming up next year. I know everybody's excited, but before we can dive into season 20 and all the rumors that might be there, we have to talk about second annual Summer League. Now, before we get to the second annual, Peter, you were a champion of the Summer League, the first annual Summer League. We haven't done a Summer League. You know, we did it last year, but before that, we hadn't done a full summer league since season 9. So, I mean, talk about what it was like to be back all summer, you know, with the guys. And I know we had the pandemic that happened, so the pool wasn't open, but this year the pool will be. But it's going to be good to be back in the summer with everybody hanging out and everybody being there. What do you think?
Yeah, Sam, I think we were back to our roots, you know,
Yes.
playing every week, playing with different guys that you wouldn't normally play with. Yeah, COVID was an issue. I missed a week due to COVID tracing, had to sit it out, but it was a lot of fun playing with new people and just looking to play more outside of the Memorial Day that we always do.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, we want to thank our sponsors for Summer League. You know, we have a lot of sponsors that go on for our actual season. But for Summer League, we have Andy's Frozen Custard first and foremost. You know, Andy's Frozen Custard is going to be, again, back with our sponsorships. We'll have an Andy's Player of the Week every week where you'll earn a free frozen custard from a small one-topping concrete. It says small, but they're actually pretty big from Andy's. Their smalls are pretty big. So you can go to Andy's. I know Jimmy Nelson from this game won the Andy's Frozen Custard Player of the Day, and he got his right away on the hot day. So it's definitely a nice treat to have, and we'll be giving those out. We'll also want to thank BreckX, Spencer Gear, and Chill Designs, you know, going to be sponsoring our Summer League t-shirts as well. And, of course, Logix for being our media sponsor. So those are going to be our sponsors for the Summer League. We thank so much for being a part of our Summer League, our second annual Summer League. And, Peter, let's talk rules, then we'll get down to the player base that's going on. But, you know, we kind of, you know, have been developing these rules, and it's completely different than the SWBL season. You know, we run in the SWBL. We, you know, throw it to the pitcher for pitcher's poison. But this one is a little bit different. We have 5 players on each team, and everybody can play the field. So you can have a pitcher, 2 infielders, 2 outfielders. And it is literally like a lot of the fast pitch leagues where it's kind of like the old school wiffle ball, like you see from the Wiffle website even. If you hit it into the infield and it stops rolling, or it gets by a fielder, when it hits the ground, it gets by a fielder, or it hits somebody, they bobble it, don't catch it, it's a single. If it lands in the fly in the outfield, it is a double. If it hits the warning track or the fence on the fly, it is a triple. And then, of course, over the fence is a home run. And something we added last year, if it hits the pesky pine trees, we'll get to that in a second, but if it hits those pine trees in right field and it bounces and somebody catches it, then it is a single, not a double if it lands on there. So, you know, what was it like kind of going back to the roots of wiffle ball last summer? And obviously your team won and did very well at it on the hitting side. But I talk about, you know, the change up, and so many people the first week, it seems like they run to first base and forget.
Yeah, you'll run halfway there, no doubt. You know, a lot of savvy hitters in this league like to try to slap at oppo or leg out a single double, but this is really the time just to hit dingers. You might as well just go for a home run. There's a lot of fielders out there.
Yeah, and you know, the fielding is, we put the 5 fielders out there because you got to cover a lot of ground, and obviously downhill, and we're going to get to our new team name in a second, but since it's downhill, having those 2 outfielders deep and the 2 infielders trying to stop those singles is something that we are going to like to see again. And there's no running, so as we get older, it's going to be a lot more helpful to be there. And then one of the other things we changed this year, Peter, it seemed like the pitching rotation rule was so confusing last year. So we made it really simple. Everybody plays a doubleheader on Sundays. And for this year, we are going to say where a pitcher can only pitch 6 innings in a given week. So you could have a complete game, and then you could also start the next game, or you could have a complete game and you could pitch, an inning to close it out, or you could do 3 and 3. You could split it up if you want to. So that's going to be the new pitching rotation rule, hoping to get more people involved in the pitching. But obviously, you'll see in a second, we split the tiers, and there's definitely enough pitchers to go around for everybody. So for those pitchers out there, make sure we know 6 innings is the max for a particular week. So for thunder. It is thunder and lightning. There. Thunder. We heard it from my basement. I mean, that must have been loud. So, and speaking of thunder, Jimmy Nelson, the MVP last year of the Summer League on your team, and Jimmy, for this rule, a lot of the pitchers tried to find a way around the rule, tried to find a way that they could pitch more innings. And this year, it's going to give a chance for more pitchers to be there. So let's get down to the tiers, because I think all the rest of the rules are. Oh, before we get to tiers, one of the fun things about Summer League, everybody, if you're just getting used to this, is the power up menu. And there is going to be another power up menu. All you have to do is Venmo the Skibbe Football League in the middle of a game. And let me read through some of these, ladies and gentlemen, because these power up menu things are always exciting to have in a game. I know Spencer Bogad spent way too much money on some power up items for his team. And his team made it to the championship last year. Power-up items cannot be used in the playoffs, and the power-up items cannot be used in the last inning of any of the regular season games. But some of the things to kind of wet your whistle here, ladies and gentlemen, are, you have to you can make the opponents hit on the opposite side of the plate. We had some opposite side home runs last year for some people. And then you have a black bat, the Easton bats that we have. Some of them use them in MoWiff and things like that. So we have those black bats that you can use in an at-bat. There was a fun one that was home runs are outs. So if you hit home run, you're an out. And we saw a team last year, I believe it was the Scott Poley's team. I forgot who they were, but I believe they had a mercy inning without hitting any home runs, had to play small ball. You can get rid of a team's fielder for an inning. You can add a fielder behind the home run fence, and so much more. One of the favorites, obviously, is blindfolded at bats, making somebody bat blindfolded. And there's also speed limit lowered and speed limit raised to unlimited, which I know some people would like to do and throw fast for a certain inning. So, the blindfolded at bats, we just recently, Peter, got on TikTok. And we just started our TikTok account for the SWBL. And you can go on and you can see some of the Summer League from last year and Scott Poley's blindfolded at bat. It was quite hilarious to see him try to hit that from Kyle Cornell's pitches. But it's always a lot of fun. So we thank everybody who's registered for the Summer League. Now, Peter, let's break down the tiers of players, because that's the reason why we're here. We are here to split up the teams, and Peter himself created these 5 tiers. An example, one of the tiers is kind of your ace pitcher, who's going to be able to take on an ace's load for this regular season for the Summer League. And then another such tier would be the rookies. So all of the rookies that have never played in either the SWBL or Summer League are in there together. And then the rest are kind of split into tier by past skill level. Nothing against any players or for any players. It's just to make them as even as possible for these teams. So Peter, why don't you break down the tiers for everybody, and we will get our Breck-X beverage with all the team names after that. So break down the tiers for us, Peter. There's 5 in each tier.
So starting with the pitching tier, you've got familiar names like Sam Skibbe, Spencer Bogad, Jimmy Nelson, Brett Spencer, and Cam Smith. These are guys that had ERAs between 5 and 8 last year, high on the strikeout list. Definitely going to be a workhorse for their team. 60% of the innings, they're going to be eaten up. And,
a lot of people were, a little taken back by Spencer Bogad being a part of that list, on Twitter. But, Spencer had a great year last year. When everybody thought Edlow was going to be the number 2 on the Twins, Spencer stepped up in a big way. And more recently known, he won the championship being down 8-0. And Will Rathwesen came in and shut down the Yankees for the rest of the game to get the win. So Spencer Bogad definitely deserves to be on that tier 1 for sure.
Yep, he earned it. And the offense in this tier is not bad at all.
No.
Second tier, when Sam talks rookies, we've got Jason Worstenholm, Adam North, Doug Meyer, Ryan Brown, and Craig Berry. So those first four played a little Mo with, from what I gather.
Ryan Brown's the only one that did. So the first three did. So, you have Jason, Doug, and Adam that are coming from Mo with and have gotten to know them. Great guys. And maybe in the future finding a spot in the SWBL as well. And that's why they're here to kind of get their foot in the door. Ryan Brown is actually a guy that all the way from Massachusetts. And he was actually the commissioner of a Massachusetts-based wiffle ball league, and he is going to be driving up to play in the league on Sundays, and we're going to welcome him, and hopefully he can make most of the weeks. If he can't make a few weeks, we totally get it, but and then we also have Craig Berry. Talk about Craig. He got kind of the connection. Obviously, he was my age at Parkway South, and he's been wanting to kind of get in the league as well, and this is a good foot in the door, but he made the connection with Kyle, if I'm not mistaken.
Plays softball with Kyle Cornell, farmer's insurance agent. We are farmers.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right. And he's been studying the league for years. He's been waiting to get his foot in the door, and that's what Summer League is really about. So these rookies could really define a team's success.
Yes. And, all these rookies, it's just going to be great to get some new blood. And it's always good to see some guys, especially we know all these people. I've either met them online via social media or in person. So it's going to be great to see them on the blur as well.
Yeah, and we want to give a quick shout out to our followers here, Jimmy Nelson, Matt Germer, keeping the chatter alive.
And Jason as well.
Jason, we did say your name right, so we're pretty proud of that. Next here is some other big names. We've got Blake Spencer, defending champion from last summer, Scott Poley, Chris Metter, Peter Leicht, and Brian Kenny. So these are solid hitters. There's some pitching talents and some fielding talents in here, but this is another solid tier.
Overall, great players. And, you look at that list and you can definitely see three people that could be a number 2 on pitching. And we didn't even talk about that with the rookies, but you got 3 or 4 players on that the rookie tier also that could help out the aces, be pitchers too. So there is a chance, ladies and gentlemen, that there could be a team that doesn't have a number 2 pitcher and they're going to have to develop somebody, but it's going to be a pretty rare draw if that happens. But a lot of pitchers in all these tiers as well. Let's go on to tier 4.
Tier 4, we've got Kevin Poley, favorite photographer, Jeremy Worrell, Jimmy Stout,
back,
Keaton Adams, and Jordan Smith.
Yes, Keaton and Jordan, obviously buddies, can't be on the same team though. Kevin Poley, Jeremy, and Jimmy. This is a tier nothing to snuff about as well. They're going to be solid players. Kevin Poley, really well known for the Pesky Pine coming alive for them in the playoffs. Kevin had a down year in the SWBL this year, but he's going to want to turn it around the SWBL. And Jeremy gets more at bats and more pitching opportunities too. And this is a tier where everybody except Kevin is pretty much a pitcher. So this is four other people that could take some innings home for their team.
Very true. And we'll round out with the last tier. We've got Matt Germer, Steve Edelman, both from the defending champion 55ers of last season, Brian Benware, John Light, and Kevin Weetucker.
I think that this tier, Peter, is all about clutch. I think you got some players. Let's talk about Brian Benware this past season. He had 2 at-bats all season. And you know what he did in both those at-bats, Peter?
2 home runs, 5 RBIs.
It's amazing. And he won that game. They scored 5 runs in that game. He was the entire Astros offense.
Wow.
So for Brian to get back on a full season and be able to help out his hitting prowess is going to be something he's going to want to do. But obviously you have Matt Germer and Steve Edelman, your former teammates. Talk about them and how clutch they were for the 55ers going through last Summer League.
Everybody knows the 55ers pitching last year was led by Jimmy. The offense was a well-balanced attack, and it was a lot of team victories.
Yes.
So the only team that returns fully from last year is last year's 55ers.
Yes.
Clearly they're going to be spread out a little bit, but I think this last year, the intangible that every team needs is a leader, a captain.
Yeah.
And each team, I suppose, is going to elect a captain that they see fit. And with Kevin, with Brian, with John Light even, you've got a lot of captain-worthy guys.
Great managers, some great knowledge of the game as well. Speaking of Kevin, he's hitting right now behind us. Oh, yeah, they're striking pitching. But, Kevin Weetucker got his at-bat, one at-bat in the SWBL season 19, but he's going to get a lot more. And Kevin he was on my team last year in the Summer League, and I don't think he missed an entire week. So he's going to be a solid player for that team. But, Peter, what do you think is the most important tier? What's the tier that's going to make or break a team, or is possibly going to, give a push to the playoffs for a team? What's a tier that's going to be super important for teams to find a nice player?
I think what we'd call tier 4 with some sneaky pitchers in there. Jeremy Worrell is only getting better. Jimmy Stout's been out for a couple years, but he can pitch as well. Keaton Adams, pitched a lot in his first year, not so much
Yeah.
last year. Jordan Smith also. So when teams are looking for a number 2 or maybe number 3 pitcher,
Might find it tier 4.
they could find it there.
Yeah. All right, guys, and let's talk about the team names. I know a lot of team names are returning. What we decided in the Summer League was if you got last place, if your team name was last place, that team name is out and a new team name comes in. Last year, the Bombay Bombers went 0-8 and then lost in the playoffs as well. They were winless. That was my team. We were winless, and the Bombay Bombers are out, unfortunately, which now brings us to the new team, and we'll get to that. I have all of the balls in here. Peter wrote them out, and we have the Downhill Divers. You can't really see it. It says Divers there, but the Downhill Divers is going to be our new team name. Obviously, the slope at the SWBL is very famous. Not a lot of leagues have that downhill. And people dive over the fence all the time. And we like alliteration here in the Summer League too. So we'll move on. Obviously, you have the 55ers, the returning team from the SWBL championship round. Yes, the 55ers are back. The Freeze Pops. It can't be an SWBL season without the Freeze Pops in attendance in the refrigerator. And yes, there are still going to be plenty for Summer League. We got the Hot Tub Club. If you ever heard of that before, there's always a group of people that sticks around and discusses things in the hot tub after a season. This year was not. It was way too hot, and obviously with COVID. And then the last one, maybe everybody's franchise of the year, if you will, from last Summer League, but we have the pesky pine trees, and those pesky pine trees in right field, and they were the only team, Peter, that had jerseys last year.
Yeah.
And because of that, we are actually going to be rigging the first 2 picks of this tier 1. Let's be honest, tier 1 doesn't matter as much, but we have 2 reasons why we're going to rig the first 2 picks out of this one. And the first pick is going to be Spencer Bogad. And Spencer Bogad, Peter, I'll just let you pick it out. We didn't mix it up because we know where it is, I think. And it is...
Wow, Spencer is going to be a pesky pine tree again.
Spencer is going to be on the pesky pine trees, mainly because he paid for the jerseys for the pesky pine trees, and that totally is understandable. We will have Spencer Bogad on the pesky pine trees. Obviously, he is a recent 2-time reigning MVP and did very well for his team last year. So whoever's going to be on the pesky pine trees is going to get one of the more solid players of the past, half decade for the SWBL. The next one that we are going to rig, and I'm just going to pull it out and then I'll get these going, but we are going to have Mr. Jimmy Nelson is going to be defending his title as the 55ers ace. He earned it, folks. He is the MVP of the league last year. Maybe we're going to kind of make that a thing. If you're the MVP, you kind of keep your team. So he is in tier 1. So Jimmy Nelson is going to be a 55er for life, maybe. So congratulations, Jimmy Nelson, as our first 55er. But now is where it gets interesting. I'm going to have Peter. He's going to tell me a name, and then I'm going to mix these bad boys up. We still have the Hot Tub Club. We got the Downhill Divers and the Freeze Pops. I'll mix them up a little bit in our Breck-X beverage container. And the next player is going to be who?
Let's go with Sam Skibbe.
Oh, that's me, if you did not know. And we'll see what happens here.
The man that supplies the Freeze Pops.
The Freeze Pops. Last year, that's funny because Cam Smith and Brett Spencer are both in this tier, and they're about to be non-Freeze Pops, and they were both on the same team last year. So, yes, I do buy the Freeze Pops. So, looks like I will be joining the Freeze Pops this year. All right, here we go. Peter, who's next?
We'll go with Brett Spencer.
All right, here we go. Brett Spencer.
He might be too old, but he's a downhill diver.
And the Downhill Divers will have Brett, which means that Cam Smith is going to be a part of the Hot Tub Club. So the Hot Tub Club and Cam Smith will join. We'll stick all those back in here. And there's really no sense in talking about that first group because, hey, there's nobody to talk about really. So Brett says he's not playing if he's not on the Freeze Pops. Well, Brett, that's what we have a random draft for. And if you would have been here, maybe you could have fought for it, So
yeah, jump over the fence.
So all right. So Peter, I'll mix these up again. And let's talk about tier 2. This is our rookie tier. And this is going to be exciting. The rookies are going to be with automatically going to be with a veteran of this league, somebody who understands the game of wiffle ball really well, and they are automatically tied to a really good pitcher that has a lot of experience. So let's get started, and you can just go any order you would like, Peter, but who's going to be the first person?
We're going to go with Jason Worstenholm. I know he's watching, and he'll find out real quick who his teammate is going to be.
Teammate, Jason?
That'll be Brett Spencer of the Downhill Divers.
Wow, all right. Jason will be joining Brett Spencer, and I know they've seen each other in Mowith before. Jason actually plays on Blake's Mowith team. He's Blake's captain and Spencer Bogad's captain as well. So Brett getting a chance to play with Jason now. So Jason and Brett will be the first teammates. Let's go with the next one.
We'll go with Adam North.
Adam North. This is actually Brett's teammate in Mowith. Let's see who Adam will be paired with.
Cam in the Hot Tub Club.
Oh, I'm sure Cam is loving that one. You know, Adam North is showing a lot of initiative in our fast pitch brother league over there. So we have Adam North joining Cam Smith in the Hot Tub Club. And, you know, Adam's not going to be mad at that by any means. So, all right.
We'll take Doug Meyer.
Doug, this is my captain in the Mowith League. That would be a strange coincidence. And there it is. Doug Meyer will be joining me. So me and Doug continue to stay teammates. Hey, if Chris Meadow joins us in the next one, we got our whole team back. So Sam Skibbe and Doug Meyer will be starting off the Freeze Pops. And that leads us with actually, those are the three Mowith guys in a row. We got Ryan Brown next, and we have Craig Berry as well. Either going to be Spencer or Jimmy.
We'll take Ryan Brown here.
Ryan Brown.
And it'll be the Pesky Pine.
Ryan Brown, commissioner of a Massachusetts Wiffle Ball League, will be joining Spencer Bogad. And Ryan Brown, congratulations. You are a part of the only Jersey team right now. And that means that Craig Berry will be joining Jimmy Nelson on the 55ers. So welcome to the league, Rook. That's the Carmen Trails.
We should juggle scarves. So it's a lot easier.
All right. So Ryan Brown, congratulations. You are with Spencer Bogad, Craig Berry with Jimmy Nelson, Doug Meyer with Sam Skibbe and myself. Jason is with Brett, Jason Worstenholm with Brett Spencer, and Adam North with Cam Smith. Let's just break down what we got so far, Pete. You know, we got these first two tiers going. And when you look at this, you got to believe, you know, Brett and Jason have a good 1-2 punch. If they stayed like that, Cam and Adam have a good 1-2 punch. Ryan, I'm sure, has a lot of experience on the mound and at the plate and can help out Spencer as well. But I actually think, you know, Spencer and Ryan, unless Ryan can step up and be that guy, you know, Spencer might be the fifth on the totem pole when it comes to being an ace pitcher. So I think Pesky Pine Trees are still looking for a pitcher right now. But what's your first breakdown? What's your first thought going through these?
It seems like when you think about camaraderie, connections, relationships, it seems like Adam are gonna be really solid there. That's what sticks out to me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that is our first analysis breakdown with two people. Now let's go to a big one, Peter. This is going to be some experienced players on every side of the ball. Who are we starting with in this tier?
So we're going to start with Blake Spencer.
Blake Spencer, and I know in the comments he's been saying everybody wants to, but Blake really wants to be a 55er again with Jimmy. Let's see if it's going to happen.
Blake looks good with his shirt off. Let's put him on the Hot Tub Club.
Hot Tub Club. He joins Cam Smith and Adam North in the Hot Tub Club. And again, another Mowith player on that team. And Blake is going to be a good bat for Cam and Adam there, and will lead that team. So Cam, Adam, and Blake in the Hot Tub Club. Who you got next?
Scott Poley.
Scott Poley. This is going to be a big pick. This is maybe the biggest bat in this tier for sure.
Downhill Divers.
Downhill Divers with Brett and Jason. Scott Poley joining Brett Spencer and Jason. And, you know, that's a great pitching staff, too. That's three people that can definitely pitch for you and good bat all around. So Brett, Jason, and Scott Poley are there, too. All right. Who's next?
We got Chris Metter.
Chris Metter. This would be crazy if he was a freeze pop here. But 55ers and Pesky Pine Trees. Pesky Pine Trees has his own teammate.
Pesky Pine, the pitching will continue to struggle, maybe.
But Chris Metter joining Spencer Bogad on the same
tandem.
summer. And, you know, I don't know if they're happy about that. You know, I I don't know, they might want to play with different people or see different things. We never had a trade in our summer league before. Maybe this could be the first one. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Chris Metter hasn't played in the summer league before. But obviously, when you have Chris Metter on your team in left field playing that shortstop position on the infield, it's definitely going to be an advantage for sure.
Yeah, there were some comments. Was it a captain interview? Metter said some things about Spencer. That was interesting. But I don't want to see. I'm going to pull myself here.
All right,
so
here we go. It's either the 55ers with Jimmy, or you're going to be joining me, Peter, with the freeze pops.
Call it a win-win. Oh, it's a freeze pop.
Teammates,
Hey.
Here we go. So Peter will be joining myself and Doug Meyer in the freeze pops, which means that we have
Brian Kenny
joining the 55ers. So Brian Kenny joining Jimmy Nelson and Craig Berry. So actually yourself nor Blake got on Jimmy's team for the 55ers. But now, let's take a look, Peter. Just seeing the three people on these teams, Pesky Pine Trees have Spencer Bogad, an experienced player, and Ryan Brown and Chris Metter. And then you have the 55ers, Jimmy Nelson, Craig Berry, and Brian Kenny. Freeze Pops, you, me, and Doug Meyer. And then the Downhill Divers, Brett, Jason, and Scott Poley. And Hot Tub Club, I almost said Hometown Cup because it's the same acronym. Cam Smith, Adam North, and Blake Spencer. What sticks out in your mind?
I think the Hot continues to stick out for me. They've locked down two solid pitchers. 55ers offense may be a struggle. Pesky Pine Trees pitching may be a struggle, but that veteran playoff experience is something that stands out.
Yeah,
too.
I think the Pesky Pine Trees definitely stick out to me. I think that Spencer-Chris connection, and they have somebody like Ryan Brown who has experience in wiffle ball, but not in the SWBL. But those are two guys to learn from, in Spencer and Chris. All right, let's go on tier 4. Let's put these wiffle balls back inside the Breck-X beverage holder, and here we go. Who is first in tier 4?
Tier 4, we got Kevin Poley.
Now, before you pick, let's talk about this.
Talk about it.
Kevin Poley could be on his brother's team, with the
Good.
Downhill Divers. Kevin played with the Pesky Pine Trees before, still an option on that team as well. And it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. And I think this is going to be a big pickup for a bat for somebody's team here.
I think he's got the best bat in the group, and we'll see where we put him. He'll be a 55er.
A 55er, Jimmy Nelson, Craig Berry, and Brian Kenny. Kevin Poley will be joining the 55ers, the champion team from last year. Next up,
we've got Jeremy Worrell.
Jeremy Worrell is going to be a good pick. Pesky Pine Trees could really use this guy, I'm sure. But anybody would like, wow.
Sam called it.
I did
He's
call
pesky.
it Jeremy Worrell. He was a Pesky Pine Tree last year.
He was.
So Spencer playing with his teammate Chris Metter in the regular season, and Jeremy Worrell is back in a jersey for the Pesky Pine Trees. So Jeremy and Spencer know each other well, and they recently had worked together at Cardinal Blinds as well. All right, keep going.
We got Jimmy Stout.
Jimmy Stout. This will be a fun one for our
On the
team.
field. Downhill Divers.
Jimmy Stout joins Brett, Jason, and Scott Poley. Great spot for Jimmy Stout to land. And, again, Downhill Divers, great pitching.
Pitching.
4 deep when it comes to pitching for the Downhill Divers. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about hitting and pitching and do our own rankings after all this. But, all right, let's keep it going.
Wow, the commissioner is way nicer in this league. That's a compliment for you.
Thank you, Jason.
We're going to go Keaton Adams.
Keaton and Jordan are left, so they're both buddies. They will not be on the same team.
Keaton will be in the Hot Tub Club.
Which means Jordan Smith will be joining our team on the Freeze Pops, just to show everybody the Freeze Pops, Jordan Smith. And we have Keaton Adams joining the Hot Tub Club, and that's an Astro teammate of Cam's. And again, probably continuing to stick out to you, but this tier kind of solidifies your pitching. In the last tier, we look at, Germer, Steve, Brian, John, and Kevin. And the only two that really have had pitching experience are Germer and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So they might pitch a little bit, but let's be honest, tier 5 isn't going to be where you find your pitching. But let's just strictly talk about pitching real quick. You got to go with the Downhill Divers, right? As the most depth when it comes to pitching with Brett, Jason, Scott, and Jimmy, right?
Yeah, you do. And, when I look at the 55ers and even Jimmy Nelson, is asking for another pitcher. I think he knows that they need one.
Yeah, unless Craig Berry has something up his sleeve. As a rookie, Brian has thrown before, but it's been many years. And Kevin did throw this year, but obviously with his injuries that he's had before in baseball and college baseball, pitching is not on the top of Kevin's priority list. So Jimmy will need some help in the pitching. So maybe either Kevin or Germer joining the 55ers would be at least a little bit of help for the ace, Jimmy Nelson. All right, let's keep it moving. Tier 5.
We'll start with Matt Germer here.
Ooh, this would be a big pickup for the 55ers, not only for the camaraderie aspect, but
he will be with Brett on the downhill divers.
Oh, what a fun one. That's going to be a great team. Matt Germer joining Brett again on the downhill divers. Expos teammates, they're back together with the downhill divers. So Germer and Brett on the same team there. Jimmy did not bring back any. Oh, Steve's still on the board. Possibly could be Steve. Could be Steve. All right. Keep it moving. Who's next?
Steve is on the board.
Oh, here we go. Steve Edelman.
And there it is.
Steve
will return
Edelman
on the
joins
55ers.
The 55ers right at Jimmy says, give me Kevin, come on. But, Steve might be able to throw some pitching out there. That team you got to look at. They might have the best pitcher in the league in Jimmy Nelson with that famed knuckleball. But when it comes down to depth, they're going to need somebody to step up for sure. All right, let's keep it moving.
We're going to go with Brian Benware. These last 3 picks are where we get to that managerial possibility.
Last 3 people that can really step up with some experience.
Pesky Pine Trees.
Pesky Pine Trees will take Brian Benware. Obviously, Jeremy Worrell and Brian have a great relationship, and Brian Benware will add a lot to that team too. A great team, the Pesky Pine Trees, and we'll break down these teams afterwards too.
And we're going to start with John Leicht here.
John Leicht.
Hot Tub Club.
John Leicht joins the Hot Tub Club, and that means we are down to Kevin Wheatucker joining our team,
Freeze Pops, baby.
The Freeze Pops. And Kevin Wheatucker will be joining the Freeze Pops. We were teammates last year. We didn't win a game in Summer League, but Peter, we're hoping you can help us out there. Let's break down these rosters to everybody. I want to thank our sponsors again, Breck Spencer Gear and Chill Designs, and also Logex and Andy's Frozen Custard, of course. But let's talk about these teams, Peter. Let's first start with the Pesky Pine Trees. Spencer Bogad, Ryan Brown, Chris Meadow, Jeremy Worrell, Brian Benware. What's a big strength for this team?
I think that offense is going to be solid. Even the pitching with Spencer and Jeremy. Brian is traveling from Massachusetts, or he's
in the area now. He's in the Missouri-ish area now, so he will be able to drive up and be here, hopefully as much as he can.
That team sticks out to me, and then you got Benware to cap from an organizational perspective.
Yeah.
The 55ers and the Freeze Pops, I look at. They aren't high on my list initially. I think
weaker offenses for sure. 55ers with Jimmy Nelson, Craig Berry, Brian Kenny, Kevin Poley, Steve Edelman. Arguably, you could say Kevin Poley and Jimmy might be the best hitters on that team. And Brian Kenny not far behind. Craig and Steve, still rookies sort of in this league, trying to figure things out still. But hopefully Craig can give them some pop, being on the softball team with Kyle and playing baseball in the past as well.
Yeah, and let me correct myself because I see Brian Benware says, I am not managing. He's thinking to take some time off this summer. So,
and Brian Benware obviously is going to add, some pop to that Pesky Pine Trees. Obviously 2 for 2 last year with those 2 home runs, big for the Astros. Freeze Pops, our team. Let's talk about it, Peter. Me and you obviously lead the charge offensively. Jordan Smith had a good offensive year for the A's. Doug Meyer doesn't have a hit in MOIF yet, but it's fast pitch and medium pitch. Maybe this is what Doug needs to kind of get his swing down and get some more offensive production, and then be able to transfer that into the MOIF league too. And then Kevin Wheatucker, can occasionally, surprise everybody with that barefoot home run. So obviously you look at the 55ers and Freeze Pops as kind of the down offensive teams. And our pitching is 4 deep, me, yourself, Jordan, and Kevin, and even Doug could pitch too. Hasn't pitched yet MOIF, but I know Doug has some experience too. So anybody on that team can pitch, but you got to believe me and possibly Jordan are going to be taking a lot of the bulk of everything. Possibly Jordan has his injury. Talk about the downhill divers.
Yeah, they're looking good. They stick out to me as likely the best when you've got Brett and Scott on the same team. Jimmy could come back hot. and he's a really good pitcher too, so they should have no problem there. Jason's experienced. Germer has been clutch in the past.
Sure.
So this team is definitely in my 1 or 2 spot.
Yeah, and I think Hot Tub Club might be up there as well as an overall good team. Blake Spencer leading the charge offensively, Cam Smith right there. And obviously the pitching of this team is going to be great. They're 4 deep as well, adding in Keaton and Adam North. Adam is a good lefty, big, tall lefty pitcher in Mowith, and he's going to get some options, pitching on that mound. He's going to look larger than life up there. And then John Leicht, obviously, giving that spark plug for the team, your brother giving that team. But let's talk about who you think, just you got to make a split decision, the best hitting team this year in your mind, best hitting team.
To me, I'm going to say the Hot Tub Club.
Hot Tub Club. Cam, Adam, Blake, Keaton, and John is your pick. What about pitching, Peter? Let's talk about pitching.
Pitching, I'm going to go with the Downhill Divers.
Yeah, I think you have to. Downhill Divers could go 5 deep if Matt Germer decides to get some innings, but Matt won't even have to. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining for the pick. And, it's been a year since we played Summer League, and it's going to be back. The pool will be open. Pool will be open from the first start of the first game to the end of the last game, and then we'll have to get out of there, things like that. But we are so excited that people can enjoy the pool. It's a doubleheader each week, so you come, show up, play your 2 games, and hang out in the pool the last 2 games, or the opposite. If you're the last 2 games, hang out in the pool the first 2, and then get to play your 2 games after that. We have a lot of good, exciting rookies that are going to be here. We have some great teams, and I actually think this is going to be a little more even than last year. We had a lot of teams that seemed to be a little more dominant. Your team was very dominant. The Freeze Pops had a lot of success. Hot Tub Club as well. So it's going to be a little more dominant, I would say. Pesky Pine Trees and the Bombay Bombers last year struggled in the regular season, but obviously everybody makes the playoffs, so Pesky Pine Trees made their run through the championship. But I think this year is going to be a little more even when it comes down to it. Who's going to be your pick for number 1, Peter? Who's your preseason number 1 pick for Summer League 2021?
It's going to be the Downhill Divers, the new team.
Downhill Divers. That is Brett, Jason, Scott Poley, Jimmy Stout, and Matt Germer. You heard it here first, folks. Peter Leicht picks the Downhill Divers as our champion for 2021. We thank you again to our sponsors, Breck-X, Chill Design, Spencer Gear, Andy's Frozen Custard, and Logix. We'll be back July 11th. Here's how it's going to work, folks. On July 1st, we are going to be releasing the schedule. There will be 1 team that has a bye every week. We'll play the regular season. You'll get to play every team 2 times in a doubleheader, and then everybody makes the playoffs, and we will be ready to go for the season. So it should end about late August, but we're very excited to get this back as a tradition to the SWBL. So July 11th will be the first game, and we'll be announcing opening day coming up very soon, July 11th. Peter, thanks for joining us. Anything to say to the people before we go?
Excited.
Yes, excited indeed. Thank you so much. Pesky Pine Trees, 55ers, Freeze Pops, Downhill Divers, and Hot Tub Club. I almost said the tournament name again. Congratulations to everybody who's been here, and thank you so much for registering. If you haven't paid your $30 registration fee, please do on Venmo before the first game on July 11th. I will be sending an email to every team and talking to people who hasn't paid yet, giving the schedule and anything you might need to say. So congratulations again to everybody, and thank you for joining us on the live stream. For Peter Leicht, I'm Sam Skibbe, SWBL for Summer League. See you later, folks.